The Bible says in Romans 8:28 that all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord, that are called according to his purpose. God took my good, the bad, and the ugly, and he transformed it into a new life with new purpose. Hello, folks, and welcome to Walking in Christ. This concept was inspired by me having to get total hip replacement surgery. And during my recovery and healing process, God placed on my heart to reevaluate my walk through this life as a man of God, based on topics that are geared towards engaging in meaningful conversation with the hopes of making a difference in this broken world. The goal is to create pathways and eliminate barriers of poverty, community disconnect, and drugs. And we do that through knowledge plus education equals confidence, because we often fear what we do not understand, and knowledge is our best defense. Education leads to understanding, and understanding to alternative solutions. I am so happy to have you here with me today. I got one of my good friends that I've been knowing for over 10 years, Mr. Anthony Morgan, and the topic today is young adults today and leaders tomorrow. But before we get into the topic, I want to give you some background information about my good brother, Mr. Morgan. Anthony wears many hats, such as philosopher, coach, entrepreneur, and creative director. He has over 15 years of executive experience in organizational development and internal branding strategies. He is the founder slash owner of HIBRED Solutions and co-owner of Listening Productions. He is the entrepreneur who helps thousands of individuals and hundreds of businesses redefine their brand stories and develop meaningful connections with their workforce to achieve exceptional results. His internal branding framework allows leaders to speak confidently about their purpose, ensuring the brand message is trustworthy and consistent across all aspects of their team. Anthony holds a BS in marketing from the University of South Florida and an MS in human resource and organizational design from Towson University. In addition to his day-to-day work, Anthony is a proud U.S. Air Force veteran who serves as a volunteer as the local platoon leader for the Mission Continues in Baltimore, where he supports uninvested communities build capacities from their programming. Anthony also enjoys inspirational speaking, working with the youth from Baltimore Youth and Business Program, spending time with his wife and his children, dancing, scouting, he's scouting out new eating spots. Yeah, man, you know, and traveling and taking long walks through the city. So I just want to say that I met this man. We'll give you some backstory about Mr. Morgan. I met Mr. Morgan about, like I said, over 10 years ago when he was a reentry navigator for the Department of Correction. And then some years later, I had the honor to develop a visual communication workshop. And I called on Mr. Morgan, and he came in and assisted me with mock interviews and interview techniques. And he really impacted the students that I had, and it made an indelible impact on them. So today, I am so happy to have him here with me. And again, the topic is young adults today and leaders tomorrow. And he's going to give you some insight on how he transitioned through or navigates through this world or city of Baltimore and help the youth to develop themselves to look for a positive aspect. We hear so much about killings in the schools and young people dying in our communities, but we never really get the chance to focus on somebody that's making an impactful impression on our youth in the community. So that's why I'm so happy to have him here with me today. And without further ado, we're going to have my good brother take the floor. Anthony, take the floor.
Man, thank you, Tom. Oh man, I appreciate you. Also remind me, I gotta get a shorter bio. What was that all about? But I appreciate it. Like good stuff. So all right, yeah, man, let's talk about these these youth, man, these as I like to call them youngins when they kind of know me, Mr. Morgan. So I always refer to them as my youngins or the youngins, right? Ironically, this whole, focus on youth came from, you all, and you kind of know this as well too, like the experience in working with adults, right? It was through like a lot of my experience, like helping to transition with adults. You used to, I would come along, men and women, very much who had lived some challenging lives. And when they thought about their children, right, like the impact that they had on their kids, how impactful that was for them, like they didn't feel like, in many ways, I mean, did I live up to, the leave the legacy for my children that I want to leave, right? So you would hear this message over and over and over again. And even myself, it would trigger things in me because, I'm one of those guys, right, in Baltimore. I had to grow up in a single family home. So you go, as an adult, you start to realize like, oh, this is real, right? You get to see it from adulthood, what it means to have to go through life without strong mentors in your life, right? And how you have to figure it out and how challenging that is. So ironically, it took just as an adult and just listening to adults that had me like trigger my head, like, oh, this is important, right? So you see the aftermath here. So we need to kind of, really focus in the here and now, what's kind of going on in this youth. So I was blessed, as a young and as I like to say, growing up, 80s, 90s. I covered the gray up a little bit, but then I was involved with like PAL programs, the police athletic leagues and things like that. So even though I had fathers and stuff, there was these programs that I could go to, and I give her a shout out now. A mentor really changed my life was a Miss Linda Tao, right? And she was this, I don't know, this beacon of light, in this neighborhood, man, who just taught you things, who believed in you, man, took us, had us experiencing things, travel and all that type of stuff. So I never forgot that experience. She actually helped me to get my first job as a police athletic league counselor at 14. So even then, I knew I had this, I'm the young guy on the team, but I had this way of just like kind of connecting and making things simple and putting it in a way that youth could relate to, right? So fast forward, a lot of things that happen. You got military, you got careers in marketing and workforce, and like you said, had my stint of doing reentry programs as well, and doing all that while that was going on. I had the opportunity actually to work along with my wife, right? Through his intersection of change Jubilee Arts program, right? So she was the director of it. So the first thing that she kind of pitched, she was like, I really want to see if we can create a, like a youth employment program, right? I'm like, all right, cool. I got experience in it. Maybe we kind of say something. Um, so I remember her pitching it one day to BOPA at the time, like, hey, we just want to do it for 8. When God kind of works in just a mysterious way, he said 8. They said, hey, how about 80? We like, okay, 8. Now we got to figure out 80, right? So like right through Science developed this program called Arts to Work, right? Where you were youth right from Baltimore City, get the opportunity to work with established artists and learn the craft under them, all while getting paid, right? And I kind of served as like like the business coach, or they call me mean boss. So that was my job to kind of get them, help them to see what this opportunity could mean for them in the future. So just like everybody, I remember myself when, Baltimore, you still got the swag, you got the bops, you got the lane. Who are you? I know there's a certain level of, especially as a Black man, like trust factors that can be missing at times. Even for myself as an adult today, I realize these are some of the scars or some of the things that I still have to work through. Like, man, do I really trust? Because I really haven't had, that model of individual. I mean, I have now, but even then, I still know what scars, right? So I just, so just even talking to the youth, how do you engage? How do you build trust? Most importantly, so you just went through this whole, so we went through this journey together. This in this particular case, a 6-week journey where 80 individuals, 80 youth, we just kind of putting it through the ringer, and they catching it from all sides, right? For many times, it's their first time getting employment. It's their first time, actually understanding what it means to work at a level that like that your boss expects, right? And so all these things felt new for everybody, right? And you would see on both lens how you had to, in many ways, this level of empathy as a leader. So so we kind of go back to this servant leadership mind frame, right? It could be one way that we approached it, approach the youth. Hey man, just do this just because this is how it's supposed to be. But then there's one way where you use this level of empathy, right? Still challenged though. We ain't let nobody off the hook, because I especially with youth, especially with Black youth. I'm sorry, man. We just not letting. Gotta be a level of empathy, but it still got to be a level of preparation that's needed in order to prepare you for the world that's that you're about to step into, right? Um, and I don't know. We just did it, man. It just showed this level of just like respect, and through everybody, man. We just collectively kind of put our brain together, didn't give up on each other, and you started seeing empower from the youth, right? So from that, actually morphed another program called the youth and business program, right? So in this particular situation was a smaller group of the youth who went through the program, because the initial program, the youth did not all the youth were quote unquote artists, right? Many were, but not some were just kind of placed, and so it was a little challenge with that as well too. But this particular group were, they identify with artists, right? They from Baltimore City, had a passion for art. Cool. So we started thinking like, man, what does that look like? So my wife and a team of us, man, we kind of got together, and we started thinking through a lot. Let's see if we can create a collective, like kind of like an art collective like program, right? Where pretty much the youth come in here, and I teach them how to sell, I teach them how to market all the gifts that I've learned over the years. Hey, let me kind of pour it into you, see if you can run out here and do it. And we got the creative side, so that from at the time, like Kim Loper and my wife, Miss Reverend Brown. You had all these people that just like this love that were just giving on to these kids, or youngins, excuse me, make sure so they know it's me talking. And you just started seeing some just amazing things, Tom. Like the creative energies was off the chain. All of a sudden, they started creating shirts, with that they started, creating different types of prints on shirts that spoke to their lives, right? So, man, we taught them everything. Like, man, how do you go out in the neighborhood and canvas to pitch ideas? To, man, how do you market? How do I'm up here teaching budgeting, the sales, to, so they became a team where they had to be making business decisions. Is this shirt worth it? You like it, but it is not selling. So do we still keep it on the, so all these different type of entrepreneurial concepts, we really fed into that, the entrepreneurial mindset as well too. And with that being said, is that, man, what really happened to it, man, it wasn't about the money. Because the kids who really needed the money, they went elsewhere, right? Like, hey, they went to the Chipotle's, and they went to they worked at the McDonald's, because in that moment, that's what their life needed. But for a vast majority of these kids, man, what they needed was a community. So the majority that I started with, they adults now. So I can say this, because I couldn't say this back then. They were like these quirky, like they were like these quirky kids, man. It's like you just kind of look back and laugh at them, man, that this community that they was able to kind of build for one another was exactly what they needed in many ways, man. They wasn't representing that. They wasn't out there, even though they very much was Baltimore all the way. The same similar things that a lot of us share, right? Growing up right off Bentlow, Sandtown, Harlem Park. A lot of this was West Side, right? So you had dealing with all this type of stuff from single parents, drugs in households, all type of stuff, but they wasn't doing none of it. Right there from bar wasn't thinking about it, trying to go to the polys in the cities, and just trying to figure it out, the Mervo, trying to figure it out. And that community, man, for what it was, man, was just like beautiful because they just got to be there and be them. And I get to be different, man. I get to be this creative soul. I get to be this entrepreneurial soul. Man, we used, you know, when they, you know, at the time, and this is pre-pandemic as well, too, when things was really, really exciting, right? Because what would happen is, you know, they generate a certain amount of income, revenue, then they would split it amongst the group. So when that was like that cooperative economics type of model, right? Well, hey, man, everybody, man, kind of split. So you started seeing people getting rewarded for all the different gifts. Some folk were strong at sales, some were strong at the creative, some were strong at the marketing, but it wasn't all these egos in it. You know, like, hey, we kind of knew where your lane was at, and you saw something beautiful just happen, right? And yeah, man, I don't know. I used to love, you know, like as a mentor, as someone who has got to see where they started and where they ended up at. And we just kind of look back and like, dang, I would go to some of these, different types of places where they would sell at. And they would just glance at me because we got to the point where I wouldn't even like go near the table or anything. I would just kind of check to kind of see if they smile and they're doing some of the simple things. And they be on it. They be like, and they would sit back like kind of give me that look like, Morgan, I got it. Mr. Morgan, I got it, man. Like, cool, like thank you and all that type of stuff. So when you talk about like impact, what it does, what it can do, the importance of just being a mentor. I take it back to how I first started, right? When you talk about as an adult, for someone like myself, even though I didn't, mentor plenty of times, how hard it was for me just to accept mentorship even now. Like these lifelong type of things. I'm confident that these youth and these youngins, as I like to say, they'll find their own path, right? Like I'm privileged to have been a part of, a small part of their story. They got a lot more story to go. And in some of the story, even to this day, um, many of the individuals, the youngins who are in there now, I can't even call them youngins right now because they're 22, 23. Many have graduated college. The ones who was in the program, they come back and volunteer, work over the summer. What's name is Ram. When I go there, man, they talking to me. When I go there, I make because I'm not there every day these days. You got to step back and let folk grow. But when I do make my guest appearances, it's kind of cool just having them there talking business. Like, hey, man, like we all on the same level around here. It's not like I'm just coming in there dominating. You done your thing. So, man. And I hope that's enough, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for just bringing me on, all that good stuff, man. But yeah, youngins, gotta love on them. Thank
you. Yeah, man. Wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that was very not only insightful, but impactful. Sometimes, man, it's the simple things. It's a quote that you remind me of. It say, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And that's what happened not only with adults, but also with the youngins. Let me use your terminology. They got to know that you care, man, before they want to accept anything from you. And I think that's what you just spoke about. And I like what you said about empathy, but you also merged it with preparation. So it's got to be some sternness in there in order for them to be able to grow. And you also mentioned, man, about these youngins needed a community, right? And when we look around these days, man, when we were coming up, because you mentioned the 80s and everything and how you was impacted, but most importantly, you mentioned about the rec center concept. Back then we had rec centers to keep us out of trouble during the summertime. And they was very instrumental in a lot of our lives, and we don't have a lot of that today. So, but what you did was morphed it into this program. And I'm telling you, man, I commend you on being that mentor, because that's what mentors do. Mentor, give the knowledge, step back, and allow them to grow. My mentor said something significant to me that caused me to think. He said, what do you need when you go fishing? First thing I said was bait, fishing pole, those things. And he was like, no, you need to fish. And it makes perfectly good sense,
Hey,
right?
lie. Yeah, that's
Right.
funny.
Yeah, you could have the pole, the bait, all of the tools that you need, but if you go there and there's no fish, what are you going to accomplish?
Yeah.
And that's basically what you're doing with those kids. You're taking them to a place that they need to understand that you need these components in order to be successful in life. And there's a hidden message behind teaching them more than just, economics and things of that nature, because we're talking about social capital, which is networking. Like you said, you gave them a project, but the concept was that everybody ate off of that. It was not selfish. So those are concepts that we need in the community. And we need to hear more about positivity that's going on in our communities, man. You talked about Sandtown, and people that are listening, they need to know that that's really in the ghetto. You know what I mean? That's a low poverty area where there's a lot of things going on, robberies, killings, murders. But if we could get a hold of these kids, man, and just, grab one at a time. I like a quote that I write in my book when people, get a copy of it. I said, helping one person may not change the world, but it'll change the world for one person. So if we could just reach the heart of one kid, that will make a domino effect as we continue on in this journey. So we pass that knowledge on and they become leaders. Because now you feel a sense of self-gratitude, and I can see it all over your face that you said you make a guest appearance now. And these young mentors, right, that you have mentored and now turn from mentees to mentors. So you have enabled them to be able to go on in life, and not only just that, but to pass it on to someone else, which is important. So that's why it's so feasible, man, for the topic today to be young adults today and leaders tomorrow. So Anthony, I salute you, my brother, for the good work that you're doing in the community. And I'll give you a pat on the back award, brother, because I really see you. I see you. And I know that you're making an impact in the community. And we're going to stay connected. I got some things going on down the road. And I want to call on you again, man, so that we can partner somewhere in the near future. But God bless you, man. And I'm continue to lift you up in prayer and continue to encourage you to stay on that pathway, man. So, folks, we just want to thank Mr. Morgan for joining us today. And as usual, I will close with God bless you and your household. And we'll see you here next time on Walking in Christ. God bless you.
Absolutely.
All things work together for the good of those that are called according to his purpose. All things work together for the good of those that are called according to his purpose.